writer and the founder of an amazing creative platform among the Lillies, was even better because I was like, yes, we can speak more and just connect a lot more. So I'm so excited. Thanks so much for speaking with us today, Mpumi.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of
I'm definitely beaming.
Yes, that's great. We love it.
Smiling from ear to ear in the introduction. Thank you for
we love
introducing me in such a beautiful way. Thank you. And thank you for having me on the show.
Of course. Thank you. So Mpumi, we're in day maybe it's even day 200 now. I've stopped counting the lockdown days, and it's obviously meant there's been a lot of indoors, and which can be really stifling, to the creative process. How have you been dealing with the pandemic, with lockdown, and how has it affected you both personally and creatively?
So I also stopped counting how many days
I know.
It's been since lockdown, and to be quite honest, I go through some of my days even forgetting about the lockdown or the fact that we're going through a pandemic, because I've really used this time wisely, right? I think there's a lot of panic in the world right now, a lot of pain that's permeating all over the place, but there's also so much peace, you know what I mean? And there's space, I think, to explore the peace that exists. I mean, when would we have had a year where we can work from home, where we can actually not go, and meet up with people, feel pressured into performing the people that we thought we were, you know what I mean? So I think for me, the thing that, got me going was that at the beginning of lockdown, I made a decision that I would see this as a gift, and not anything else. And, if you think about a gift, they give it to you all boxed, and covered and everything. And I've really just taken the time to unbox the gift, right? To see, that, okay, it arrived as, a pandemic, this unseen virus, that's really moving from person to person. But I think, if you flip the coin like I did, then I began to see it as a gift, the kind of year that I've never had before. And I was very interested, to know what it would become when all my plans literally went to the toilet, and I had to think from a free place, because I think our lives were very rigid before this time. You knew your schedule, where you'd be in 6 months' time. And we got into the year, and all of that got erased. And I think I've just had to listen to the universe, to the source, to spirit, and to just, that deep in creative being. I think you asked about creativity, to really ask that person, not the person that wants to perform oh, I want my work to be in this, but the person that just wants to create, for the art of creating, for the love of creating, for the beauty of creating. So that's how I've I think looked at the lockdown. That's how I've dealt with the lockdown. And as a result, I think I've created some of my most honest work during this time. And I'm very excited to share it with the world.
Oh, that's amazing. We're excited to see it. Thank you so much, Mpumi. I think, and this is what I'd said at the top of the hour as well, because I was just talking to Kelly about and what you mentioned about the pain the world is in right now, just it feels like a lot recently, especially the past 2 weeks, with the death with the murder of Kwasa, and then you had Nathaniel Julius being shot, and then you see Jacob Blake in America, and then this morning, Black Panther's dead. But Chadwick. I think it's just that pain. But and I was saying, I feel like Mpumi is going to give us some energy, some good wisdom, some positivity. And what you just said is so brilliant. The fact that you see it as a gift, and that you made that decision to see this time as a gift, and to try and work out what that means to you is just great. So thank you for that. When you look at how you've had to adapt to lockdown, so you obviously, so you're working from home, has there been any other massive, I guess, adaptations or things you've had to change in your day-to-day life?
Okay, I'm gonna go into a little story.
Okay, love it. Yes, please.
I was telling a friend the other day that I feel like 2020 was the year that spoke to us, or rather prayed itself into 2020. Like when towards the end of 2019, I think life as I knew it for the past 2 years for me changed. So I think I'll just give you context. At the time, I was living with my partner. Last year, this time actually, I was living with my partner and my baby, and I thought that my life was perfect.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the year, what I had considered to be one of the most beautiful relationship of my life, it just disintegrated, right? And I was so broken and confused and just despondent. I think the way that everyone feels now, I felt like that at that time, like, oh my God, my world just ended. What now?
Right.
And after that, I had to move back home because, like, a breakup like that is very expensive financially, because you go from sharing expenses to actually not sharing expenses. And I had to be very honest with myself and be like, the kind of life that I'd cultivated with this person, I cannot afford it.
Right.
So I went back to live with my mom. And after living with my mom, I remember I had said that I'm gonna spend the year, actually 2020, living at my mom's house, and then I just use the money that I would have used for rent to travel, right? And during just, I think, the beginning of the year, when I was living very far from work, and just having a very difficult time, I was learning to look inward, right? Spirit said 3 months. Right?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I had said a year. And something in me said 3 months. You're going to stay at your mom's for 3 months. And then after that, you're going to look for your own place. Michelle, you will be shocked to know that my move-in date was literally, I think, the 1st of April, right?
Oh my God.
That was the first day that I was supposed to move into my place. And then Cyril, the Monday, I was supposed to move on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Cyril announced the lockdown, I think, on the Monday.
Yes.
So this meant that, moving dates were like altered. I had to take leave at work. And then literally the day before lockdown, that Thursday, that last Thursday before lockdown, I was moving into my new home. Right.
Oh,
and, I hadn't lived with myself for a very long time because I was struggling with mental illness, and I just didn't trust that I could live with myself and not harm myself in any way. So I was constantly trying to live with someone else, if not a friend, Then, I ended up living with a partner.
Right.
And, for the first time, I actually had to face myself and sit with myself. And what I found, was this beautiful person, just, my inner child waiting to be loved, and just having the time to just, buy stuff for my house, make it look like what I like, and just spend time with myself. Like, I work from home. I work in digital marketing.
Okay.
So that's been great because I dedicate some of my time, during the day to work, obviously. But those hours in the morning that I would have spent driving to work or being stuck in traffic, I actually use them. I wake up, I light my candles, I meditate, I look inward, I breathe. I have a very pretty bicycle. So then some days I'll go on a cycle, just, singing or listening to whatever music is playing in my headset. And then just coming back and setting the intention for the day, or journaling before I go into my day. And always, I think, making a decision. I think when I was, depressed, I think I made that decision in the morning, right? That I am depressed. And then I was feeding that energy the whole day.
Right.
But this year, I've learned to just wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, the tree outside my window is moving. The sun is shining. The clouds are moving. I am alive. I am happy. And I will continue to be this movement of life every day. And when I make that decision, I literally, not to say that I have perfect days, but like, even as the day goes by, like, I don't go into that defeated place.
Right.
I'm always able to just breathe myself out, bring myself to the present moment, breathe myself out of those moments. And even after work, I always have like a wind down session, right? Where if I need to meditate, if it's been a tough day and I need to forgive myself, I'm going to do a meditation that takes me through a prayer of forgiveness.
Right.
And I'm going to forgive myself, and I'm going to use the rest of the time that I would have used last year to go out for drinks or whatever else to really just bond with myself. I'm doing some inner child work, which means I'll have a dance party with myself.
Amazing.
Think about me as a little girl and just dance with that little girl, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when you begin to see all these beautiful dual people that walk with you, that just want to be seen and loved, you know? And yeah, I think I'm rambling, but
I love it. Yeah. Please keep going.
You're enlightening us.
I know.
We're quiet because we're just like taking
I'm just hearing it. I told you, right? You want a notebook for everything in Mpumi.
Well, I got videos here. I'm like,
save it. But I think that's so beautiful. And I think, I mean, from what it sounds like, you clearly have found a way to make the most out of this time. And, you know, you've adapted and you've enjoyed some moments. But has there been a challenge, and what has been that biggest challenge?
I think the challenge during this time is just, you know, dealing with myself. I think, you know, during the years gone by, we were into this culture of always blaming something else, right?
Yeah.
So it's either the people at work, or it's your boss, or it's the people in traffic, or, you know, it's your friends, or it was just always someone else.
Yeah, it's never you.
And, you know, this year, it was the kind of year where I had to be like, what if it's not everyone else, and it's just you? You know what I mean? And this means that, you know, I've had to, and I hope this doesn't sound like so airy-fairy, and I'm going to make an example for you.
Right.
That for me, I think during this time, just staying to the center that I've found, right? And in the time of the internet, for example, I think this whole week, we just woke up to, you know, traumatic imagery on the internet and just really bad news, right? About things that have been recurring. And I think it's very easy to get like into that tunnel, right? Because I think it's like a collective feeling, like everyone must be feeling something at the same time. And, you know, you post a story, I post a story, someone else posts a story, right?
Yeah.
And then we're all in this place of grief and suffering and asking why, like, why is the world like this, you know, and all these other questions. But I think sorry.
You're right.
I think there are also questions that we don't ask, right? Because I think, you know, this collective, if everyone is just feeling this collective grief, this means that there's something that we inherently know is missing, right? And that's why the things that are happening. And I think then we, you know, stand as a unit, and we want all these things that are outside to change, right? You want the police system to change. You want the government to change. You want men to change. You want certain behaviors to change. There's so many things that we want to change. But I think this year was the year that I've really gone inward to be like, if I want kindness in the world, am I bringing kindness into the world? If I want softness in the world, am I bringing that softness into the world? And most of the time, you'll find that like everything that you say about the world is actually a projection about your world, right?
Wow.
If you're saying that people are evil, like if you're saying people are so evil, you know what I mean? This means that there's something evil in you that's brewing, that's going unaddressed, and it manifests in the world in different ways. And like the question then is, what vibration are you bringing into the world? Because you might be wanting these low vibrations to stop, but like you're also feeding those vibrations, right? So if a policeman is being mean in that moment and they end alive, how many times are you mean every day? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many? So asking those, instead of being so, you know, the outside world, imagine if everyone in the country today were to actually stop and say, what is it that that policeman is doing that I do, and how can I heal myself in order to heal the world? Then we'd be having a different conversation, right? And so that, I think, for me has been the challenge this year, to really just take a very honest look at myself and what it is that I bring into the world, because the world is it's manifesting what we bring to the surface, and just trying to clean up, you know, like a cob. What is that thing when they
like the cobwebs
trying to get just trying to clean like my negative carbon footprint on the world. I think that's what I'm trying to clean.
Right.
And that's very difficult work. That's very challenging work. You know, and it also just means that like you have to go back into your own history and see what happened to you in order for you to become this person that does it and, you know, contributes to the heaviness and the sadness that the world is emanating at this time.
That's incredible.
Mpumi, can you come live with me?
I know, right? Just be there.
You're moving in. You're moving again.
But I think you're so on the point there, saying the biggest challenge is having to sit with yourself and asking those questions. And that is true. I think that's really brilliant, that viewpoint. I haven't really thought about that. That
we're very defensive
we need to,
like on ourselves.
We're like, no, I'm fine. It's the rest of the world. But what you're saying about how we project and how we are within the world, and I think that's something I'm having to deal with as well, because like in this moment, I found myself being very angry. Yes. And even though I want the world to like be loved and be nicer, I'm angry. So I'm like, how can I expect the world to be sweet and kind when I'm just feeling anger? So I'm having to like question that as well. But that's really incredible. Good luck with that work. I think I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it.
There's gonna be days where I don't want to do it.
I know. It's brilliant. But Mpumi, you're also, you know, you're not just a creative yourself, but you're also the founder of this really great platform, Among the Lillies. Can you please tell our listeners more about it and how they can get involved and support?
Oh, yes. So Among the Lillies is actually, it became an events company, right? It just started off as me in Joburg feeling very jaded by all the kinds of events I think that existed at the time. I started it in 2017. And what I initially did was that, you know, I just started it with a book club. You know, I just wanted to gather with women that read, not necessarily to talk about books, but to just talk about, you know, the things that we read about in books, or just, you know, things that allow us to dig in deeper to ourselves and really have ourselves seen in front of other people and to see other people and to learn from each other. And the platform has since grown to have a book social. But before that, actually, we had a market called Ode to the Woman, which was the kind of market where all your vendors, everything that you saw there, so from the DJ to the lady that's selling the ice cream and made the ice cream, to the lady that's juicing and making the juices and selling the juices, everything that was produced at that market was by women. And we just went home at the rest of the day, like, I just wanted to create this economy where women take all the money, and we had a market where women took all the money, and it was amazing. And from there grew into the book social, where we give local authors an opportunity to come to the book social, read their work, and sell their books to the people that do come. We have open mic at the book social, so this means that all the people that write in private will have a little crowd to share their work with, and then it just falls into a party, like a nice light-hearted party where people can just feel safe and happy. So then after that, I think we had one right before the lockdown, and then when the lockdown started, I was like, oh my God, now what? You know, am I going to go into online events? And then I was like, no,
that's difficult.
That is not my space. Like, I'm the kind of person with a presence, and I just felt like that was not the space for me, even though everyone was doing it. And I think at that time, I felt like, you know what, everyone is reacting to what's going on with the lockdown. So sis, take it easy, breathe easy, and you'll come up with what to do in order to keep the brand going during this time.
Right.
And like I said, then I was doing my own internal work, and with just seeing how, you know, messy things were at the time, what I felt in my little corner of the world, because I was cultivating, was love, right? Everyone was just, you know, things were burning, and, you know, everyone was just really angry, and just, you know, taking, like I said, just being taken by the manufactured collective feeling. And when I was just in my own state, I was just like, at this time, I just want to love. and I just want to find out what love looks like at this time. And after that, I think I just started writing my poetry, right? Every time I felt something about the world, like I said, I confronted something about my own life, and I'd come up with a beautiful poem. And then I was like, oh, okay, so that's my task at this time, to actually reflect the times, like Nina Simone said, right? And then I came up with the Be Loved series, and I've invited authors, other authors, musicians, and just artists, other artists, poets, other artists from other spheres. I've invited them to participate. So there's an episode that goes out every Sunday, and in each episode, the person really just shares with the audience how they are learning to be love, how they are learning to embody love, and sharing the beautiful places through music, through words, or whatever their portal is. Just sharing that, this is what I sing when I need to go to that place where I'm safe and warm and loved and radiating love. So that's been the series. And to be quite honest, I came up with the idea, but the episodes have blown me away. I've learned so much from, other people, and just listening to other people's stories. So it's been a joy. It's been a joy with Among the Lillies.
Amazing.
So people can follow the page, and if they want to participate, like if you have an album coming out, if you have a book coming out, or if you just want to share your talents, follow the page, DM me, and then we'll definitely talk about it. And you can, participate in the Be Loved series, which I think will be an archive. Like in 5 years' time, a lot of people are starting things right now, and I think we'll be able to come back to the page to be like, oh, look at baby, you trying,
look at you.
And now you're winning.
Amazing. Oh, I do love it. Thank you. And it's true, I've been going on the page on a lot of Sundays, and I think that idea that you said about how people are dealing and just how they're sharing love is like really great, just to go there and see, okay, this is how I can feel that love as well. And like I always appreciate creatives who are able to share so openly. And I think that's, and just like people in general, and I think that's something that really connects me with you as well. It's just like you do share so openly, and it's part of what makes creatives so great as well at the end of the day, and I think the fact that you can connect to a different groups of people, but also knowing that, I'm coming to a safe space, a space that is there for people of color, for women. I just really enjoy it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Great. So I just wanted to touch down quickly on, so you did mention that there's been some lockdown content. Can you give us a little snippet about it? Were they poems? Were they like, what kind of content was it? And when can you share them?
Can you please repeat the question? I lost you a bit there.
Sorry, I was saying, so you mentioned earlier that you have created some lockdown content. Did you want to tell us a bit about it, and where can people start going to have a look through it?
So I'm actually, are you asking about the book when I said that I started writing? Yes. So yes, I am working on on my book. And I'd like to read you guys a poem, I think, just to close, because
I've been that would be beautiful. Please.
From my book. You can just follow my page, Mpumi_D, and on Instagram, just to follow my journey. A lot of the things that I am doing for this book are still very much behind the scenes during this time. And I am, of course, protecting the work. And I am, of course, praying for the work. And I am, making sure that the work is true. But as time, follow me on Instagram, and I am sketching out some, like, a plan.
That's what
my audience can come, where my audience can come, and we can be together, and we can share, right? So I think I'll just share with you guys a poem that I shared on my Among the Lillies page, and it's about something that I think is trivial, but it's not, right? And during this time, like I said, when you think about the anger in the world, right? Then when you think about what makes you angry, and not just about things that happen in the world, or things that hurt you, I think for me, it's the themes of abandonment, themes of rejection, and just betrayal from self and others. And this meant that I had to go into my own stories, some of my stories that I thought were very insignificant, and just look in there about some of the things that really manifest this anger that I'm able to ride on when there's something to be angry about. And, this is how I found my healing. So this poem is called The Photographer. And I think I'll shortly say what it's about, or you guys will get it through listening to the poem. But here goes. The Photographer. The first pang of hunger hit you when you liked the boy who took beautiful images, and he liked you back. For his like, your appetite for love took a turn for a rise. It began on the day he painted your day pretty at the art fair and bought you the magazine that would transform your life. Under the moon of that night, you both held hands as you ran across the bridge, leaving the police station attached to it and the lonely of the city behind. You giggled in ecstasy, and you laughed in ecstasy, and he giggled with glee. He didn't let you go until you hit the dance floor, where you moved in that smoothly robotic way that you do. He looked at you like you were glitter, and you smiled and twirled at the night for letting the sun play long after sunset. On the day he leaves for Japan, he takes you to his studio where his brothers and good friends await. Everyone is proud of him. You're proud to be with him. You're the mouth he kisses outside his friend's car before he leaves for the airport. And you FaceTime almost every day. He shows you Japan, and you show him your new apartment. When he comes back home, he doesn't come to your new home. You're scared to call, but you do it anyway. He answers his phone and you can't quite find him. Your tummy rumbles. That Saturday, your friend comes to visit and loves your new home. On the way to the bottle store, she tells you about the photographer and the FaceTime calls, and the top of your mouth turns silver because the last place you expected to find him was your friend's mouth.
Yes. Wow.
Oh my gosh, like
I know. I was just like, that was beautiful. That is definitely. Thank you for sharing
so
that
heartbreaking.
I know. I feel like I was there with you from the beginning, and just like.
But even the way you
The light
described
and
when
shade.
she found out, like, her friend and the photographer, that's a feeling we've all had.
Yeah.
You know that. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Really?
That's intense. That's great. And I feel like, is that a sign of all the work to come? Is it all about like looking in, I guess, introspectively and sharing those stories and your experiences?
Yeah, so it's a whole lot of short stories that are clothed in poems. So they live in the form of poems, but most of them are stories.
Wow, beautiful.
Very short, but very much to the point, and get you feeling all the things that I think you guys felt.
Yes, we did. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing as well. I know it can be so difficult sometimes to want to be able to go, okay, I'm going to, like you said, you still want to create like a safe space for your work right now. So I really appreciating you sharing that poem with us. Just quickly before you go, I know that we've kept you a bit longer than I said I would, but do you have any messages, or what is your message for other creatives who might be struggling right now, especially mentally and emotionally?
So I'm reading this book called The 4 Agreements right now. And this book is teaching me about how it is very important. You said spells with your mouth, right? And I think I mentioned something about this this morning. Is the fact that if you wake up in the morning and you say, I feel uncreative, you're not going to be creative. If you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about how there's no space for creatives to create right now, then you're closing that space within yourself to create, right? And yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to just, create for the love of creating, create from love, create not to perform, because I think as creatives, we've created for, for the sake of performing. Like, you create an artwork today, it's in a gallery tomorrow, you create a song, you're performing at Kitchener's, next week, you do this, and then you do this. Like, it's always input, output.
Right.
And I think it's important for us to just, create from that honest place, that place that is true, the place that doesn't create for other people, but for, the consciousness of, I think, the planet and the universe, and, just creation, just it's energy, so just remember to feed that energy in yourself, and to speak positively about yourself, and to always look for other opportunities. Just because the first thing, or the first way, or the planned way has fallen apart, doesn't mean that all these other doors don't exist. Look around. Stop looking at that one door that really shut and hurt you. No, look around. There are other doors. There's so much more. Life isn't linear. Life, just because one thing doesn't work out doesn't mean that it's closed. There's always air. If you close the window, doesn't mean that the air stops moving outside. So you always have to sort of hunt for the thing that will get you there. And I can't describe what that thing is, but if you do the work, you find the thing, and then you laugh at that other door, and you're like, oh my God, you were so small. Look at this door that's been waiting.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Mpumi. And you know what, brunches, I told you at the top of the hour, I had this whole little rant where I was very upset. I was like, I'm just feeling so heavy, and I'm really looking forward. I was like, I feel like Mpumi is going to give us that energy that we need and give us that positivity. And you've just shared so many great tips, and I mean,
now we can go
thank
into
you.
the day.
I know. I feel like, yes, the rest of the show has the positivity it needs, because it did not start off that way. I will say that.
And even just going into the weekend.
Yeah.
And like into the new weeks.
Exactly. This
hearing
is
these, like,
just hearing this. Exactly. And I think, I'm just so grateful to you. And thank you again for bringing that positivity. And thank you for sharing your poetry, and just for sharing your wisdom. I told y'all, she's got some gems. She dropped them. I'm so happy. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. I will be
Thank you so much
you
for
on
having
Instagram.
me. And
so do not be scared.
I'm not scared at all. Come through. Come through. I have love waiting for you on this side.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful
thanks
week.
you guys.
Thank you. Have a beautiful week.
Continue to be loved.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you to Mpumi once again for joining us on Sisters Who Brunch. Guys, did I not tell you she was going to bring the gems, the energy? Mpumi said so much. Not just if you are creative, but even just a person in this time going through one of the hardest years, obviously, or the most difficult in terms of the fact that everything in the world just seems to be at the same point. But I think the different avenues she said about, working on yourself, looking how she kind of sees this time as a gift. And she told her mind that is how you're going to see it. And Mpumi is clearly doing the work in terms of making sure that she's introspecting, she's meditating, she's feeling her feelings when she needs to, and also reflecting on how she feels, because I think that's important as people, as she said, and especially as creatives, you kind of create just to perform and then it's done.
Yeah.
You're no longer creating for yourself. And in this time, what she said, which I think is brilliant, is go back to creating for you, to sharing a safe space for you and your stories for yourself first before you can share it. I thought it was brilliant.
That poem was like...
Oh, her poetry is great. I love how what she said, it's a short story wrapped up in a poem.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, what's better than that? And for a Saturday morning to have some poetry live on Sisters Who Brunch, I think we need to get some spoken word poets in again. It's something I used to do on a show I used to host when I lived in England. And
here we go.
I'm just saying.
We just brought light.
I know she
did.
I
want to go back to the dark space.
No, I miss it. I don't. Now, since listening to Mpumi, I can look at London again in the lightness,
Even like with relationships or situations, you can now look at it and be like, actually, it was you were meant to go through something, and it's okay. It doesn't mean now you're worse off than before. It's like an enlightenment. Okay.
Exactly.
But is it going to stop me? You know what I mean? Am I going to let this
overshadow
grow?
everything I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I think what I loved about what she said as well is she's using this time to just like speak to that inner child in her, like, you know, have a dance party with herself. That's something I've been saying to do as well.
Actually, I don't think me and you have forgotten our inner child.
I have my inner child all the time.
Yes,
but
our father reminds us
all the time.
My child.
But I think it's doing things like finding those joyous spaces, and like she said, she goes for a bike ride, listens to music, you know, finding what you can do to find that open space and to find joy and make time for it. Because as much as you're like, oh, well,